Okay, everyone, let's grab our seats. It's officially 8:30 p.m. My name's Ron. I'm an alcoholic. How are you all doing tonight? Welcome home, everybody. A couple quick announcements. We got some good stuff going on here. I don't know if you guys are aware, on a Monday nights right here in the other room, all the flyers are back on the back table. Help yourself to them, please. And I'll pass these around. You can just take pictures of them with your cell phone. It's a great way to document or whatever you want to record it or have it with you. But there's a 6 p.m. Literature and STEP meeting that goes on right over here on Monday nights. We're looking for speakers also. If you're interested in that, see us. Right after that, 7:30 p.m. right here in this room, there's an Al-Anon ACOA meeting here. So if you're struggling with family members or you have family members that are struggling, please grab that. Also, there's a hospital meeting, beginners meeting, that goes on in Al-Anon every Tuesday at 7 p.m. The flyers are back there also for that. We do have an event coming up here, the 35th anniversary Promises picnic. It's August 11th, 1 to 6 p.m., 4 p.m. speaker. It's being held at Covered Bridge Park in 2465 Ware Mill Road, Allentown, PA. Bunch of food and fellowship, so that's a fun thing to do. And keep in mind, if you can remember all that stuff I just said, but you don't, I know. Thank God it's being recorded for YouTube. But if you're interested, every Sunday night we have an ongoing commitment at a treatment center. They're very appreciative to any outside people coming to even just share some time with them, a little of your experience. So if you're interested, see us after the meeting. And with that, I get to introduce the world's greatest chairperson, all the way from, where are you from, sir? Argentina. Argentina. Let's welcome Nick and give him a warm welcome.
Welcome to the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Nick and I am an alcoholic. And welcome home, everyone. This is a 1-hour speaker meeting that meets every Saturday evening at St. Paul's Lutheran Church, 301 North Main Street in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. The food and fellowship starts at 8 p.m., followed by our speaker at 8:30. The business meeting for this group meets every Saturday at 7 p.m. to 7:30 right here. Please come early and join us. The purpose of this group is to provide a consistent message of hope and recovery through God reliance and service to others through the practice and teaching of the 12 steps. We record all speakers so that others may benefit from the message of recovery. If you wish not to be recorded, simply ask. And this is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. The group would like to welcome everyone, especially newcomers. Is there anyone new or from out of town that would like to introduce themselves with their first name? Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm Chris. I'm back.
Hey, Chris, welcome. Anthony, welcome. Welcome. Yes. Hey, Marianne, welcome. Hi, Tina, welcome.
I'm Steve. I'm alcoholic.
Hey, Steve, welcome. Hey, Carrie, welcome. Yes. Hi, Melissa, welcome. And welcome to everyone. The Conscious Contact Speaker Group encourages sponsorship with anyone with working knowledge of the 12 steps and is willing to sponsor. Please raise your hands. Excellent. Are there any announcements from the floor for the good of AA? All right. Our sister group is a big book study meeting that meets every Thursday at 7:30 just up the street at the Salem UCC Church, 186 East Court Street in Doylestown. Coffee is on at 6:15. We have meeting lists and big books on easy terms. Please see me or any home group member after the meeting. If you cannot afford a big book, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group will give you one at no charge. Anyone willing to make donations for the purchase of big books and CDs who help them and can't afford them can put donations in the jar on the table marked Big Book and CD donations. And all CDs are available free of charge. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Doylestown, PA, and our Facebook group. Subscribe and share. You can find our speakers there, join our Facebook page, and keep informed, and share upcoming events and meetings. And now with that, we have Brian come and read our Just for Today Prayer of Recovery.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian, and I am an alcoholic. And this is Just for Today, a prayer of recovery. Just for today, I will be agreeable. I will look as well as I can, dress becomingly, talk low, act courteously, criticize not one bit, not find fault with anything, and not try to improve or regulate anybody except myself. And with that, I believe Dave's going to come up here. Dave's going to read our AA preamble.
My name is Dave. I'm an alcoholic. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who shared their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And now JJ is going to come up for the 12 steps.
My name's JJ, I'm an alcoholic. These are the 12 steps of recovery. First, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Second, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Third, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Fourth, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. With that, Nick's going to come back up here and introduce our speaker.
Okay, we have a 7 tradition, which states every AA group ought to be fully self-supported and declining outside contributions. This time we'll pass the baskets. And we have no dues or fees. We do have expenses, and this group provides many services. Your donations cover food, rent, big books, CDs, events, and workshops. And we do have a Venmo as well. If you don't have cash, come see me after the meeting, and I'll give you the QR code. There's absolutely no smoking on church property. Please take a moment to silence all cell phones and try to limit movement during the meeting to avoid distractions. Now, to introduce our speaker, a good friend of the Conscious Contact Speaker Group. Tonight we have Steve G. from the 562 group of AA.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So I'd like to begin by taking a moment of silence for the still sick and suffering alcoholics in and out of these rooms. I'm going to invite God to join us here in this meeting here tonight. Maybe you want to ask the God of your understanding to join us as well. So I'm Steve, and I'm a recovered alcoholic. Everybody, I want to welcome anybody who's new or feels like they're new. And particularly if you're new or you feel like you're new, I introduce myself to you as a recovered alcoholic because that's what our basic textbook suggests. That I am to be introduced to a suffering alcoholic as someone who has recovered from this seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, to which I have. Right? That's the message of hope that Alcoholics Anonymous, or the way I understand the message of Alcoholics Anonymous is, that there is hope for somebody like Steve, that you can recover from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, a very bad disease called alcoholism. I don't confuse being recovered with being cured. They're two different words. They have two different meanings. I understand that my recovered is contingent upon the daily maintenance of my spiritual condition. That's why when I woke up this morning, the first thing I did before I got out of bed, I didn't even get on my knees. I asked God to direct my thinking. And I did that because that's what it says on page 86 in our basic textbook. It tells me how to wake up in the morning. The first thing, review the day ahead. And how does a guy like me go from somebody who does not listen and follow directions? Right, there's a word in the textbook that describes a person like me. He's defiant. They use other words to define a guy like me. Can you hear me okay if I'm not right up on the microphone? Because I'm going to have to move around a little bit. But I'm not just defiant. I display antisocial behavior. When I was smaller and growing, they would use that term, antisocial behavior. Then, as I matured into the body of a man, they would say things like sociopathic and psychopathic behaviors. I'm not a sociopath and I'm not psychopathic. I suffer from a pretty bad disease, though. I'm alcoholic. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, and I have a disease. So how did I get here? What it was like? A couple different ways I could approach that. I have a lot of time. So how did I actually get here? How am I standing here before you here tonight? So it's last Saturday morning. I'd begun my day the way page 86 told me to do it. Then Joe picked me up, we got coffee, and we went to a 7 a.m. meeting. Then Joe drops me off, I do what else I have to do, and then I go to the gym. So if I owe you money, I forgot about it, I haven't paid back in my amends, if you see me, you'll know where to find me. It's not hard, this is my schedule, pretty easy, 7 days a week. So I'm at the gym. Now here's where the story takes a little turn. This is 1 week ago Saturday. My charming daughter, 24 years old, and I love the kid. She's just a special person. Both my children. I'm blessed with wonderful children. She FaceTimes me while I'm at the gym. I don't like to be FaceTimed anytime, much less when I'm at the gym. But she never takes my call, nor does my son. And I let them know that if anybody but you didn't answer my calls, didn't answer my texts, respond, they wouldn't be in my life. But more important than what I tell my children is I practice what I preach. Knowing what it says on page 86 is of no value to me. Quoting the big book, I could eat that book, I could poop that book. It is of no value to me. If I'm not doing what I'm told to do, if I'm not following the directions exactly, precisely the way they're given to me in that book, chances are I'll drink again. And the book tells me that over and over. But better than that, I go to a lot of meetings. Not because they're medicine. I can clearly see, I see all these people going to meetings and meetings and meetings, and then they pick up a drink. Meeting makers don't make it, they make it till they go out, then they come back. But let's stick to how did I end up here. So my daughter says to me, so Daddy, and she talks. I'm like, can't you just call me, talk for 30, 60 seconds? I just want to know you're alive. I'm not a big phone guy. I need a whole lot of conversation. I love you, Daddy. And she goes on, and she says to me, so what are you going to do for your birthday? I said, well, I don't really have any plans for my birthday, honey. When you get as old as me, you don't really care. I had already, back at the holidays when I was with them, the children, they were telling me, they're 22 and 24, and they're telling me their grand plans for this year, 2024. When they got done telling me their grand plans, they said, so Daddy, what do you got planned for 2024? I said, well, I'm going to be on Medicare. You think that's funny. They were like, that's depressing, Daddy. I'm like, well, it's pretty much as good as it's going to get from me, guys, So now she wants to know what I'm going to do for my birthday. And I have no plans. And I tell her that, and you can imagine a 24-year-old's response to this. Like, how big a loser are you? I mean, you're a real loser. You got nothing. Nobody cares about you. You're going to be all alone, you and the cats won't share anything with me, by the way. I'm alone. No cake, nothing. I said, yeah, next week I'll be in Chicago where you and your brother live. I'm sure if we have time after we get done packing you and moving you, 24 years old, and my ex-wife and I have to go pack her and move her, right? Said, I'm sure if we have time, you'll take me out to dinner, maybe give me a birthday cake or something. So I hang up the phone. I'm like, okay, I get on with my day. I go to a meeting that night, or I had been to a meeting that morning. I don't think I had to ask God. I don't think I was agitated or disturbed by her call, but I could have been. I don't think I asked God to remove this immediately. You know, it was like interrupted my day, but that was okay. I love her. I go to a meeting. I save a seat for Jimmy the barber. He's, of course, late. So I'm sitting there in this meeting, listening to the speaker, and my friend Sarah walks in. She's 10 minutes late. Jimmy the barber's 20 minutes late. And I got this seat. So I said, Sarah, you know, take Jimmy's seat, you know, and Sarah sits down next to me. After the meeting, she says to me, how would you like to speak at a meeting? I said, well, yeah, sure, I like to speak at meetings. You know, it's fun. I'm verbose. I like to talk. She said, okay, can you wear a suit and tie? I said, well, you know, I could put a jacket and tie on if that's what you require of me. Sure, you know. I got some in the closet somewhere. I don't know. I don't even wear them to funerals anymore, but if that's what you want, sure, why not? She says, and could you speak for an hour? I said, I can speak for hours. Like I was a yoga teacher. Part of my story is I got into seeking, sought through prayer and meditation to improve, and seeking a higher power, and I'm born Jewish, but I become a practicing Buddhist, and I'm a yoga teacher, and, you know, sure, I can talk. People tell me when you teach yoga, they're like, you know, you're rather verbose, and I'm like, yeah, thank you very much. And one girl walked up to me, she says, do you know what that means? I'm like, I don't know, I'm pretty cool, right? She likes me. She's like, it means you talk too much. And I'm like, you know, in my delusional mind, I don't really care. As long as she said something and I thought it was nice, what do I care? So Sarah said, can you talk for an hour and we're going to record you? I'm like, you can record me and do whatever you want. Like, you know, it's all good by me. I'm on Medicare. What do I care what people think anymore, right? I've lost it all. So she says, okay, this guy Ron's going to contact you. I said, okay, have Ron contact me. It's my brother's name, by the way. And thanks for reaching out, Ron. It's nice to meet you. So next day, Ron contacts me, and Ron says, you know, can you speak? I don't think he said next week. I think he put the date. I said 8/3/24. And I said, funny, that's my birthday. I'm going to be 65 on August 3rd, 1924. I guess now I have something to do for my birthday. Oh, I was kind of, felt good about this. You know, my daughter at 24, she's not thinking this is so great, right? This is not her idea of a good time for your birthday, believe me, and I'm sure you can imagine. So it's Sunday morning, and I go back to the gym, because that's what I do. I've been to a meeting. I've already started with God, woke up, prayed, meditated, asked God to run the show, make sure he gets Steve out and God in. And God's running the show, right? God decides, what's Steve going to do for his 65th birthday? Where's Steve going to be? Last year for my 64th birthday, 4 AA women took me to a restaurant in Wayne for my birthday. The next day I was at the gym, and 2 or 3 different people said, I saw you last night. I said, I saw you too. Why didn't you say hello? She said, well, I didn't know what to say. You were there with 4 attractive women and you. Like how does this happen? I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know, because I said to my friend and I said, like you're around me a lot. I hang out with the guys in AA. I haven't 13th stepped in like 15 years. I stopped that a while back. Well, this gets better how I end up here, Ron. This is 1 week in the life of a recovered alcoholic when God's running the show. So I'm at the gym again, and now my ex-wife called. When I say my ex-wife, just to be, somebody said to me, all you have to do is tell the truth. You want me to tell you the truth? So it's like 10 years ago, beginning of the summer, 10 years ago, I think. My ex-wife comes to me totally out of the blue, and she says, I don't want to be married to you anymore. Another month or two, she tells me, you know, there's another guy, and I'm in love, and I'm gonna go off with him. And I did what AA word of mouth AA says, right? They say, call your sponsor before you drink. I wasn't really thinking about drinking, but I called my sponsor. I have a good sponsor. I like my sponsor. He likes me. When I call him, I say, hey, good sponsor. It's the good sponsor. He says, hey, good sponsor. What's up? I said, you're not going to believe this. He says, why not? I told him what happened. I said to him, why me? You know what my sponsor said? He didn't say go to a meeting. You know what he said? Why not you? That's just one of millions of things, a myriad of who knows how many things that happen to every human being on this planet on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis. Why me? Why not me? And I said, yeah, right. And the only thing that changed was instead of every day me trying to be the best husband, now it changed. Now I'm going to be the best ex-husband, the best father, the best son, the best brother, the best co-worker, the best sponsor, the best sponsee, the best business owner. But nothing much changed. I could tell you stories, parables, Buddhist tales of how, the kid never knew his father, and there's a knock on the door, and he opens up the door, and he's a stranger, and the kid feels nothing. He says, hey, what do you want? And the stranger looks down at him and says, I'm your father. Now, well, the kid's feeling all these feelings and emotions, and he's got all these thoughts. Probably needs a drink too, right? It's traumatic. So now my ex-wife calls me on Sunday, and she says to me, I thought she was calling something about the children. My ex-wife and I are going to go on Thursday, this coming Thursday, to move my daughter, and both children will be there. My ex-wife calls, I'm at the gym, and I take the call, and she says, this is a pretty big week for you, huh? I'm like, why, what's up? What'd I do now? I ain't done nothing. She said, well, you're going to turn 65. And I said, oh, yeah, right, Sunday, my birthday's next Saturday. I hadn't really thought much about it, other than our daughter making me feel like what a loser. But the truth is, I don't feel like a loser. Right? I'm waking up every day. I'm not drinking one day at a time. I'm living life one day at a time. Right? That's what our textbook says. The bumper stickers say one day at a time, and people think, oh, you're just not drinking one day at a time. You're like a camel. You can go 24 hours. And it's very important that I don't take a drink one day at a time. Right? That's the first step. But then there's 11 other steps that are there designed to help me live life in one-day increments. Because just like that marriage that ended, like everything else, if you're living a spiritual life, everything is going to end. Nothing is permanent. Impermanence is just a fact of the human experience. So I said, yeah, got a big week and whatever. And she said, what are you going to do? I said, well, now I got something to do. Now I can look like somebody special, right? Now I got something to do. My friend Ron has me coming to speak at a meeting. I told her about this meeting. I'm going to wear a jacket and tie and everything, She says, cool, that's nice, and talk to you later. She calls me back a little later. She says, you know the name of this place you're going up in Doylestown? I'm like, Ron sent something. It said the name, but, I'm not as young as I used to be. I don't remember as well as I used to. She said, it's called the Conscious Contact Group. I said, yeah, that's right, it's the Conscious Contact Group. She said, this is really interesting, it's pretty cool. I said, yeah, I'm very excited about this. This is, I'm going to be on YouTube. And I'd been up on YouTube and other things for my yoga studio and stuff. I had a very successful career in Center City, Philadelphia as a yoga teacher. And I did some yoga moves, and they put it up there on videos and stuff. And I got some people liked me. She said, would you mind if I came? I said, no, why would I mind if you came? She's like, well, I wouldn't want you to not be able to tell the truth. And I told her exactly what I told you. I said, just so you know, exactly what I say about you. I say the truth. It's not bad. She's sitting right behind you. I'm serious. That's her. Whose ex-wife? No, wait till you hear what it was really like, what I'm like growing up. Believe me, this is a very polished version. What AA can do. My mother ran around for a couple of decades telling people, don't lose hope. Your children, your grandchildren, how effed up are they? Don't lose hope. If those AAs can do with my Stephen what they've done with my Stephen, don't lose hope. What those AAs have done. She had no idea, my mother. Most people don't. So I said, sure, come on down. Why not? So that's how I ended up here. That's what one week in the life of a recovered alcoholic looks like. So now, mid-afternoon today, I have a very close friend. We went to high school together. We were best men in each other's weddings. We're really close. We've worked together. We spent 20 years. We do other business things together. We're really tight. In the last couple of years, since COVID, we've been walking 20, 25 miles a week, 3, 4, 5 times. We go out for like 4 or 5 miles at a time. We brunch afterwards. So we spend a lot of time together. We raised our children together. We're close. He's got the same question. I mean, what's wrong with Earth people? Like, what are you going to do for your birthday? Well, thank God I'm alive. I mean, at 65, I'm old. I outlived my father. I outlived many of my friends. Many of my friends and family members are dead. Most of them, none of them were really as bad as me. When you met us, people were like, that's the worst. Me. I really was. I wanted to be. He says, what are you going to do? I said, well, going out with a couple of my friends to Doylestown, I'm going to talk to these people. He said, what are you going to talk to them about? I said, well, I'm going to share my experience, my strength, and my hope. He said, well, did you write I said, no, I didn't write anything down. What'd you say? It's like, this is your story, right? This is your life. Right? All you got to do is tell the truth. I knew what the man told me before the man told me. He said, can you give me a 2-minute condensed version of what you're going to do tonight? I said, sure. What it was like, I'm 12 years old. I'm at 52nd and Market Street at a family business. I'm working. I'm a big kid. I'm like 6 foot, 200 pounds. You can see in my bar mitzvah pictures that I'm good size bigger than my father. Big. Got size 12 shoes. And I'm working. I'm picking up furniture, washing machines with guys, putting them on trucks, delivering them in projects and stuff. We loaded up the truck, and we're in the basement, and the guys are passing around a bottle. It's Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill. And they give me Boone's Farm, and I freaking love it. Probably not the taste. I don't really remember. I just remember how much I loved it. I just remember how much I couldn't wait to get more of that stuff. But if I was talking AA parlance, I would just say that I love the sense of ease and comfort that I got from those first couple of hits. And if it was going around 4 or 5 guys, man, I couldn't wait for that thing to get back to me. I think the next week, very quickly, it changed. They brought Thunderbird. I like the taste of Thunderbird, right? So I grew up in West Philadelphia in a row house. I'm going to the Philadelphia schools, and I'm running around in deep West Philadelphia drinking and doing other things at 12, 13, 14 years old. My father carries a gun every day. My grandfather carries a gun every day. My other grandfather got shot in his store at 12th and Fitzwater. He's never been the same. He doesn't pass from that. But so I grew up in this environment. Everybody's carrying guns. Everybody's drinking, doing other stuff, and this is what men do. And I'm in with the men. Even before that, when I'm watching the cops and the robbers, the cowboys and the Indians, stuff like, I never want to be the cop. I always want to be the robber. Like, I got a proclivity. So I just always want to be bad. I could blame it on my father. I could tell you how it was my father's fault. I've been in plenty of therapy. They've told me it's definitely your father's fault, and your mother too. They were really bad parents. You were abused. You have PTSD. The home you grew up in, the schoolyard, the playground, the streets that you ran, would make anybody. And I would tell you a lot about it, but the truth is it has nothing to do with my alcoholism. Right? I'm just predisposed to alcoholism. I drink alcohol and I love the stuff. Actually, I was more condensed with my friend. I just told him I drank alcohol, this substance, when I was 12 years old, and it became the answer, the solution to everything. If I was happy, I wanted to drink alcohol. If I was sad, I wanted to drink alcohol. If I was depressed, I wanted to drink alcohol. If I was grateful, I wanted to drink alcohol. You know how grateful alcoholics never drink? I do. I drink when I'm grateful. I drink under any and all conditions because I love the sense of ease and comfort. But the problem for a guy like me, see, I have an allergy too. The sense of ease and comfort is not enough for me. They gave me some chocolate ice cream, or cake and ice cream tonight after dinner. We split it, 4 of us. You know I wanted more, right? I told her not to bring any more stuff. I want those Twizzlers and those Milk Duds now, don't I? Right? I got a little bit of sugar. I want more. But I've never gotten arrested from eating too many Milk Duds. I've been arrested a lot. Never once that there wasn't alcohol and other substances in my body. So I told him that's what it was like. From 12 years old on, the solution to everything was let's get loaded. Not a drink. I never looked at it like a drink. I never wanted a drink. I wanted to get wasted. I dig oblivion. What happened? Literally no major consequences. I suffered a lot of consequences for the 20 years from 12 to 32 when I got sober. I suffered a lot of consequences. Never once did I really consider giving up alcohol and drugs. Because I had turned my will and my life over to the care of alcohol and other substances. I had no idea I did that, but I did that. Because my actions, looking back on my actions, told me what I believed. I believed that life would be impossible without. And I'd rather die or go to prison than ever consider stopping. Now I'm 32 years old. It's the last quarter, fiscal quarter, because I was in business at the time. Well, I spent, from 12, I got into doing illegal stuff pretty early, in my early teens, mid-teens. By early college, I'm a full-time bartender and drug purveyor of stuff, whatever we're not supposed to talk about in AA. I apologize, I won't talk about it. But I'm like, everything I do is illegal. And I make a good living, and I pay for college. I don't really go to college. I figure ways to do things. I pay people to take class, whatever. But all of the income to keep me out of jail and pay for school and stuff is all done illegally. And you get arrested sometimes when you do a lot of illegal things. My mother didn't think it was funny. My father, he like hung around with guys like me, and it wasn't the worst thing to have a son like this. But it's not his fault. I made these choices, not my father. My father told me to go to school. My father told me to get with the program, and he had no idea what he was saying. He didn't know nothing about the 12-step program. But he would say, you better get with the program where the state's going to do for you what I was never able to do. You can laugh, but it's not funny to me. That's why I don't. If I didn't have so much time, I wouldn't tell any war stories, because they're of no value. But I can tell you, when they talk about gradations of alcoholism, the real alcoholic, the real sick ones, not a guy that has one drunk driving and goes to a couple meetings a week and he's doing good, that ain't me, people. I blow up life. My ex-wife tells me one time, getting out of the car, giving people driving directions because they're throwing trash out of the car in Villanova with my 2 kids strapped in car seats, and she's like, this can't go on anymore. Like, what are you doing? There's no alcohol in me, and I'm a problem. I'm still a problem. Untreated alcoholism is bad stuff. Very, very bad, this untreated alcohol. So I do that for 17 years here in Alcoholics Anonymous. So what happened? It's late 1991. I have a business career. I'm wearing suits and ties every day. I'm in corporate America in sales. I'm doing really well. I started selling stocks and bonds in '85. That's when I started paying taxes. When I told my father I was going to become a stockbroker, not work at the bar at 38th and Chestnut in West Philadelphia, in the bar at G in Luzerne and Kensington, my father said to me, "You going to wear a suit and tie?" I said, "Well, yeah, that's what they do." He said, "You're going to have to pay taxes." And I really didn't know what that meant. I was a college graduate of a fine university here in the city. And again, it's pretty sad. I had every opportunity. My mother cried a lot. It was the first generation, the first one of the generations of hard working class people, American immigrants who immigrated legally to this country and worked hard. And I'm the first one to get a chance to go to college, and I'm throwing it all away. It's pretty sad. But then again, it's pretty miraculous that I'm standing here telling you about it. I did a couple of things with no consequences in that last quarter of 1991. I did not come here broke, busted, and disgusted. I had made more money and WT'd it, paid tax on it that year. But it was January. I really can't explain. I did not hear a voice. I didn't hear God. Most of my spiritual experiences, different than the spiritual awakening that I had as a result of these 12 steps, are in hindsight. I could look back and say, like, how did that happen? Like, I'm in a room with a federal judge, a federal prosecutor, my lawyer who's a state senator in New Jersey. I've been charged with interstate trafficking of controlled substance. So I'm looking at 20 years in a federal penitentiary, and they tell me to stop drinking, using, selling, go to school, get a job, become what AA made me, which is a tax-paying citizen. Look up the word citizen. I'm a citizen. And within a month, I'm doing what I like to do. I'm not listening to nobody. Now it's January 1992, and I just get the message. The party's over. You ever see that movie, Boogie Nights, with Mark Wahlberg? He's entering a new career, and he needs to come up with a stage name. And the name comes to him, it like explodes on like this neon billboard, the name. It just becomes crystal clear to him out of nowhere, and that's kind of what happened to me. The party's over. And I know if the party's over, where you go. If the party's over, meaning if you want to stop drinking and using and stay stopped from drinking and using, you go to AA. I got 2 needle-shooting junkies for uncles who are adamant AAers. They both died sober in Alcoholics Anonymous. I knew where to go. And I called this guy Scott, who I'm still very close with today. I see him most weekends. He took me to my first meeting, January 27th, 1992. I won't say that this is a spiritual experience, but when I go to that meeting, there's a guy standing up front, John, runs this beginners meeting, and he has this spiel. He says the exact same thing over and over, week in and week out, year in and year out. And basically, all I really gleaned from it is the guy told me to go home, get on my knees, and thank God for helping me. Not keeping me, helping me stay sober. I was to work with God. Right? God moves mountains. As my sponsor, my first sponsor, Carl, who fired me, used to like to say, but Steve's going to need a backhoe, not a shovel, a guy like you, because I'm a really sick person. I'm spiritually sick. I don't care if I drink tonight, get in my car with my friends, and kill them and somebody else in their car, because I've done it, and I've been to court for it. And when the lady gasped, I was like, what's her problem? Like, why is she upset? Why doesn't she want to be in a room with Mr. Charm? Because I could have killed her that night, her and her husband. And the 4 guys that were in the car, my sister's car, which I've had to make amends for, of course. So I went to AA, the guy told me to go home and pray, and that's really different. I went home and did what I was told. I went home and got on my knees and thanked God. And then the guy told me to do this in the morning, that I should ask God to help me. Now you can imagine, for a guy like me, so I get up and I say, God, please help me not drink alcohol, use substances, and I have a laundry list of other things that a guy like me needs help not doing. Because, like, I'm not capable of doing the next right thing. That doesn't come naturally to me, never did, never will. I've needed a lot of help with it. Literally, if I have to do paperwork at times, back during COVID, like those PPP loans, I'm going to make money, but I won't sit down and do the paperwork. I got to call my sponsor and say, I need to do this paperwork. It's got to get done. He says, okay, when are you going to do it? Tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Where are you going to do it? I'll be in the gym cafeteria. Call me at 2 o'clock and make sure and let me know exactly where you are and what you're doing. I need to be responsible and accountable, and I need help with it. I need God. I need other people. I need more than a sponsor. There's probably 5, 6, 10 people that know all of my dirty little secrets. So I start going to meetings, and like I said, if you ever look in our textbook, the term they use is a 2-stepper. I'm a 2-stepper now. And I'm going to meetings, and I'm learning quickly how to spout the slogans. I heard this one the other day. I hadn't heard it in a long time. It used to be one of my favorites. Thank God it's a we program. I remember how pissed I was when a guy walked up to me. He was probably as old as me now, and I was young. I was really offended when this old person said, "It's a 12-step program, you idiot." I'm like, you know, I can't say anything. I can't curse, right? But I had all this attitude. I don't know anything about humility. I've studied it. I've read it. I used to write the definition and put it in my pocket and all that. I know that when I ask God every day to remove my arrogance, if God's taking care of that, then the humility's there. But I'm either arrogant or humid, whatever humility. I don't know the right way to say that. Right along my prayers, they still are as simple as that first prayer, but I do what's on page 86 in the morning, the set-aside prayer. I've picked up all kinds of different prayers. Again, I've sought yoga. I'm a practicing Buddhist. I'm proficient with the 12 steps. I'm proficient with the 8 limbs of yoga. I'm well read in the 8 limbs of the path of Buddhism. But Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12 steps, particularly pages 84 through 88, the 10th and the 11th step, are the foundation of me being spiritually fit today. Just like when I go to the gym every day, if I want to be physically fit, I go to the gym every day. If I want to eat healthy, I eat every day. If I want to be spiritually fit, I start with what it says on page 86. Tells me what to do all day if I so desire, if I want to be spiritually fit. It's really simple. One page. Now I'm a very sick person, needed to do all 9 steps before I was capable of doing step 10, step 11. I needed all of those steps. I needed a lot of help with those steps. More importantly than the help, I needed to do it exactly and precisely the way they did it in the book. So that's what happened. What's it like now? No matter how I feel, what I think, whatever my problem is, there's only one solution. There's only one answer. Anybody want to take a guess? What do you think? God. If you look on page 52, one day I was being dragged out of a house in West Philly. Me and a few of my buddies, we were living there. Had 2 houses by these 2 bars where the 5 of us worked and did our business. And the poor people who lived next to us was one lady, Mrs. Murray. I've never made a direct amends to Mrs. Murray. I went back there. The Murray family doesn't live there anymore. She had me drug out in handcuffs, and she was hollering at the police. That's the one, he's the ringleader. She referred to me as a nefarious heathen. You didn't have phones back then. Somebody had to look that up for me in a dictionary to tell me what that meant. And I was very proud of myself. And I felt good about that. That's how sick, spiritually sick I am. I have a spiritual malady. I'm really sick spiritually. I have a mental obsession. The mental obsession now sounds like this. I'm 65 now, Steve. Nobody likes you. Nobody ever did really like you. And nobody needs you. The children are doing great. You've really done a nice job. They're out in Chicago. See, they don't like you. They don't need you. They moved to Chicago. They're all taken care of. It's all good. What do you say we move to Thailand? A guy like you can take a little bit of money out of the bank and live the life. Right? My mental obsession believes that opioids are legal. And other activities that a guy like me used to be like, could get into without ending up in a prison in Thailand, which I can't imagine is a lot of fun. That's what the mental obsession is. Now, bear in mind the truth. You want to know the truth? This is a man standing in front of you that has never lived more than 15 miles from where he lives. But the mental obsession tells him, let's go to Thailand to finish up this little journey. I'm not too, what's the word? It starts with a D. See, the shrink would say denial, you're in denial, you're in denial. But in AA, I learned that the real problem is I'm delusional. The self-delusion. So I'm running around for 17 years two-stepping, and I'm telling you, oh, I know exactly what my problem is. I found it in the fourth step. You know the one I paid the shrink to do? I paid a shrink to do the fourth step. Because I was making that kind of money, and that's the kind of arrogant, lack of humility, the arrogance. So I'm a liar. I lie, cheat, and steal. Like, I walk in the Wawa, I steal Daily News, I don't need it. I steal toilet paper from my employer who's paying me 6 figures to dress really nice. I go in with a gym bag and I'm stealing rolls of toilet paper. And but I'm being honest because I tell my sponsor, you know what the sponsor tells me to do? He says, if you can't stop by telling me, go to Narberth Midday and raise your hand and tell everybody, I can't stop stealing toilet paper. And I did it. Do you think it worked? Same as if you told me, call me, if you really think you're going to drink tonight, Steve, call me. You probably would offer that, wouldn't you? You would take my call, you think? I know some of you guys would. Tina, would you take my call? You would take my call. You think I'm going to call you before I drink tonight, Tina, if I make a decision? I'm not calling anybody. The mental obsession says, this time will be different, Steve. I called my sponsor 9 years ago. Like, I took a little cooling off period after the divorce, but then I decided to get back out there, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to date. So I called my sponsor, I said, I'm dating. He's like, well, that's fine, you're not married anymore, it's okay. I said, well, I'm thinking I'll drink 2 glasses of wine just for dating, because I don't like wine. Because I don't like wine. Now, I told you my first love, right? But in my mental obsession, I'm like, I don't really like wine. I don't like fancy wine, I like cheap shit, junk wine. And my sponsor, being human, says to me, well, you'll probably get away with that for like a year. I said, are you out of your mind? Like, really? It won't take 30 days. I'm drinking Budweiser and tequila, and, like, I want Milk Duds and Twizzlers. I want more sugar. I want oblivion. I'm not drinking 2 glasses of wine. He's like, well, that's good. Then why'd you call me and why are you bothering me? Like, well, I don't know. That's what they tell you it means. Call your sponsor. It's like, you know what to do. Right? When we got done the 9 steps and we got into 10, my sponsor was like, thank God. Because you can imagine what sponsoring must be like, right? I'm a lot of work. I'm a problem. I'm a problem. I'm highly defiant. I don't listen and follow directions. I don't even know that I think I know everything. I'm in couples therapy before we got married. And her and this guy Larry, they're like, do you know that you're just never wrong? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm a nice guy. What are you talking about? And this goes on for weeks, months. It's like, no, you're never wrong. And then one day, it was definitely a spiritual experience, it hit me. I'm never wrong because I'm bigger than both of you. Great way to go into a marriage, huh? But I don't know it. I'm delusional. I can't see it. I think I know everything, so I'm never wrong. And I got no clue that I think I know everything. I'm a nice guy. What are you talking about? I got no clue. And I'm going to shrinks. I'm going to shrinks with her. I'm going to shrinks. I'm doing whatever. I'm doing anything but the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'll do anything but. How God loves me so much, I got no clue. But I can tell you who my employer is. God is my employer and I'm his agent. I've sold insurance, stocks, and bonds. I've been an agent. I know what agency means. When I call my sponsor and I'm like, you can't believe this. I just went to a solid hour of AA and not one person talked about God. And he hangs up on me and I call back. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, you want God in meetings? I'm like, yeah. He says, then bring him, talk about him, and hangs up again. Right? When we got done those 10 steps, he says, thank God you know how to take your own inventory now. You know exactly what's wrong with you. Your problem is not that you lie, cheat, and steal. Your problem is not that you're judgmental. Your problem isn't that you're a perfectionist. My perfectionism. Oh, I'm a people pleaser. Really? So when we get to the 8th step, he said, remember you told me your problem was people pleasing? I said, yeah. He's like, while you're making this list of all the people you've harmed, which I did so much in blackouts and stuff, I was really, I just made a lot of trouble. He's like, while you're on that list, make me a list of all these people that are so happy with you that you're pleasing them all. You're not a people pleaser. You're selfish, self-centered, self-seeking. You're not a liar. It's self-deceit. You lie to yourself. Deeper, worse, more harmful to you and the people around you is that you lie to yourself. Self-deceit. That's what made me such a great liar. I really believed it. But the very top of the list, and it says it, like, the answers are in the book. It's an open book test. The third step tells you exactly what you need to find in your fourth step. Steve is driven by 100 forms of fear. Self-delusion. Why do you think that's the first of the manifestations of self that's written there? Because only Steve has it? Steve is driven by 100 forms of fear. Steve must be rid of this above all else. Could it be possible that above all else means even more important than me not taking a drink today? That it be more important above all else when he says that Steve must be rid of this selfishness or it will kill him. But even more important than that, we're after the solution. God makes this possible. I'm working on myself. I'm working on it. I'm paying the shrink to work on it. I'm in meetings telling you, I'm working on this. I'm telling God, take this from me, God. He must not like me. I don't even know what the problem is. If I took your car, told you you needed a new transmission and charged you and gave you back your car and it didn't work, you'd be like, what's going on here, Steve? And I said, well, no problem. I'll tell you what. Now I'm going to replace your motor, and that's going to cost you another $5,000. You think you're going to trust me to replace your motor? I don't even know what the problem is. How am I going to fix your car? I'm no auto mechanic. I don't know what the problem is. How am I going to get God to fix what I don't even know is the problem? But they tell me right there in the third step what I need to find in the fourth step if I want to recover from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. Delusion, self-delusion. I'm moving to Thailand. I tell my sponsor I'm going to go to winter in Florida next year. My sponsor laughs. He's like, okay, well, when you get to Florida, when you and those two cats get to Florida, you call me. I'm like, not really. I keep talking about it. He's like, Steve, I've known you for a long time. I knew you before I was your sponsor. You used to work in corporate America with my wife. I will not be surprised if you pay that lease in full and never move to Florida, Steve. You've never lived anywhere else. But I'm happy for you. I hope you enjoy in Florida. And you know what? Deep down, I know he could be right. Deep down, I know the man could be right because I'm delusional. And every day I got to get up and ask God to run the show, where my delusion starts to run things and I start to think, I'm okay, maybe I'll move to Thailand. So in short, I mean, I could, they asked me to speak for an hour, but it's a pretty short story, right? What it was like, I found God in alcohol. Right, even that's delusional lie, right? God was never lost. I didn't find God. God found me. God found me and brought me to AA. AA brought me to God. God was never lost. I was lost. So lost, I don't even know. I think I know everything. Today, I can tell you how imperfect a human being I am. Really, really imperfect. I make a lot of mistakes. If you honk at me, let me know that I've made a mistake. I just wave. I have a pageant wave. It's very different than my old wave. I think most of you know the old wave. You know the old wave? Somebody was mentioning the old wave today. Somebody, I say, I'm sorry, forgive me. Like, I got on your nerves. I'm sorry. Like, I'm in your way. I get it. What's it like now? I say, I'm sorry. I'm imperfect. I just told you what my real, true imperfections are. Self-delusion, self-deceit, selfishness, self-centered, self-seeking. Last month or so, I've started waking up thinking about other people. I'm working with so many other people. I'm waking up thinking about them. That's bizarre. Go read page 52, the bedevilments. I can't quote it word for word, it's insignificant that I can, but it says something like this. It says, Steve is still having problems with relationships. Steve cannot control his emotional nature as he's getting out of his car on a beautiful Sunday afternoon in Villanova with his wife and 2 children in the back seat. He cannot control his emotional nature as he's prone to childish tantrums in his 40s. Steve is still prone to misery and depression. Steve can't make a living. Yeah, he's making a lot of money, but he's not a good coworker. He's not a part of the team. He's an arrogant. When things aren't going Steve's way at work, Steve's walking down the hall and everybody's running for cover, and he gets to the boss's office, who happens to be the best friend that I told you about earlier. The guy's like, Steve, what's the problem? And he would say, well, your problems are many and varied, but nobody's going to buy anything from you when you're walking around like this, Steve. I can see you coming down the hall. Everybody's running the other way. Mister, I'm bigger than you. Mister, I know everything. You couldn't lose this job no matter what, Steve. But you know what? You're no good at this job. You're of no use to me. You're of no use to yourself. You're of no use to your family. You're of no use to anybody when you're walking around, Mr. Arrogant. I know everything. Here's a piece of business, Steve. Here's business I wrote. Take this business, go home, go to Thailand, do whatever you need to do, and come back when you're ready to be Steve. Just a nice guy who's pretty successful when he's just being Steve, when he's just, getting up, knocking on the door, say, hi, I'm Steve, this is what I'm selling, it's legal now, and buy it from me. Look at those bedevilments. That's what it looks like. 17 years in Alcoholics Anonymous without treating alcoholism. That's untreated alcoholism. Then go to page 84. Go to the 10th step. Page 84, 85. Look what Steve looks like now. Steve ceased fighting with anything or anybody, even alcohol. The problem has been removed. All my life they're telling me, you're a problem. That's a problem. The problem has been removed. I think Bill's just talking about alcohol. But so much of the problem has been removed for me. There's so many rewards. The 9th step rewards are great. They read like a Hallmark card. The problem for a guy like me is I can get a lot of those 9th step rewards by drinking. Like somebody brought up one of them this morning. They said freedom from financial insecurity and fear of people, something like that. If I go out and drink tonight, I have no fear of financial insecurity or fear of people. A lot of those I can get from drinking. The 10th step, 11th step promises, those you got to really earn. You got to be painstaking about those first 9 steps. And I had never been painstaking about anything in my life. 2 big ifs. If Steve is painstaking, and he's got to be honest with himself, I've never been painstaking about anything before. And I won state championships, salesman of the year. I did a lot of stuff. I was very blessed to have a lot of material success without being painstaking. But here the half measures got me nothing. Nothing. No C's, no D's. Nothing. I think the greatest promise is the 12th step promise. I would imagine that if you came to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, you have a desire to stop drinking. And that's all you need to be a part of this fellowship. Now, if you want to join the fellowship of the Spirit, you got to do those first 9 steps and get into 10, 11, and 12. But if you just want to be a part of the fellowship, eat some hot dogs, have a good time, and I love me some fellowship, and I love me some frothy emotional peel. I love when you tell me that you will keep loving me until I can love myself. But it doesn't suffice for a guy like me. I needed to be painstaking to get what it tells me I can get in the 12th step. Which is why I came to Alcoholics Anonymous. I told you why I came here. I knew that if you want to stop, and you want to stay stopped, and in our 12th step, working with others, it tells us, because I'm a salesman, Bill was a salesman, he says, qualify your prospect. Do you want to stop drinking? I don't care that your wife wants you to stop. I don't care that your parole officer tells you, do you want to stop drinking? More importantly, do you want to stay stopped? But that working with others starts off with probably what I believe to be, I'll change my mind tomorrow, right? But for tonight, what is the greatest promise that Alcoholics Anonymous offers that I can have if I do what I need to do to be spiritually fit today? It says, nothing much will ensure. If you do not know what insurance is, I've sold insurance. I have insurance. I understand the word insurance, that it's going to insure something. My home was wrecked 2 winters ago. My insurance took really good care of me. And everybody told me how it wouldn't, but my insurance built me a beautiful new home. Even though most people, oh my God, poor Steve, you had a flood in the house on Christmas Day. I know what the word insure means. Nothing much will ensure immunity. And I know what immunity means. I went and got vaccinated. That does not ensure immunity. I know what immunity means. Nothing much will ensure immunity as Steve doing intensive work with other alcoholics. I love going out to dinner with my friends. Even better, they paid. They treated me. Thank you very much. And I like wearing a free meal. And I love that. But nothing will ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. And that's why I can quote the book. But that's of no value to me, quoting that book. It's that I'm doing what that book tells me, specifically on pages 84 through 88. I do a lot of other spiritual seeking. I do all kinds of chanting and all kinds. I can talk Sanskrit to you. But the foundation of my spiritual fitness is the foundation that Alcoholics Anonymous strongly suggests. There are a lot of musts. Steve must get God involved. Steve must stop. I'm working on it. Because the truth was, I did all kinds of self-help. Oh, I used to love that. This is a self-help program, and I'm working on it. I believe that I've used up as much time as I need to. I believe I've run to the time we wanted, and as I told them, I was teaching a yoga class one time, and I was pretty arrogant about it. I was pretty into it, and from the material world, it was doing really well financially, so I really, was pretty arrogant and thought I was great. And a lot of people would say a lot of nice things to me about it. Got mostly nice reviews. This one young woman walked up to me one day and she said, you're quite verbose. And I said, I just had a tank top on. I said, thank you very much, And I turned, and one of the other girls was standing there, and she said, you know what that means? I'm like, well, she liked me. She's like, no, it means you talk too much. Thanks for letting me share.
Okay, good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. Again, my name's Brian. I'm an alcoholic. First and foremost, I want to thank Steve for coming out here, delivering an awesome message of hope and recovery to our group here. A couple quick announcements and we'll wrap up the meeting here. As always, the food and the fellowship starts at 8 o'clock. Get here early, enjoy the food we put out. If you want to get involved with service with this group, you can see any group member after the meeting. There's always a meeting after the meeting, so if you are new or if you're struggling, grab somebody after the meeting. We'd love to get with you, give you some meetings, some numbers. It is customary for us to thank our speakers because they come here on their own time and expense. Usually we will form a line in the front here and we'll thank our speakers personally. Thanks to everybody for helping out with the meeting tonight. Thanks to our greeters, our readers. Thanks to Miss Kay and Howard for taking care of the kitchen there. And let's thank our speaker one more time. And if you do care to join us, we have a beautiful way of closing down the meeting. We're going to circle up and say the Lord's Prayer. As always, we will close down with a brief moment of silence for that still sick and suffering alcoholic, followed by our Lord's Prayer. Our Father,
Can you hand me my phone right now?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.